There are places in America where if you accidentally step in just as dusk falls, you might never be able to return. And the scariest part is even the police, armed and empowered, choose to avoid these places. Welcome to the hidden dark side of America, where no-go zones are not just rumors, but a concerning reality existing in the heart of major cities. From the crumbling neighborhoods of Chicago, the dark corners of Detroit, to the suffocating alleys of Oakland or Baltimore, these are places where the law is rendered ineffective, where crime, gangs, and despair dominate every nook and cranny. In today's documentary, we will take you to explore the areas abandoned by society, to understand why, right in the heart of one of the wealthiest nations in the world, there exist forbidden zones that even law enforcement must be wary of. This is not just a neighborhood issue, but a reality of an America that is gradually fracturing from within. If there is a place in America that makes you no longer recognize the America you once knew, perhaps that place is Skid Row, just a few blocks away from the skyscrapers and the Dolby Theatre where the Oscars were once held. Another world emerges. No screens, no lights, no directors. Skid Row is not a post-apocalyptic movie, but everything that happens here, from the makeshift tents, the shadows of wandering people to the silence of the system, makes it surpass the imagination of any Hollywood screenwriter. More than 4,000 people live crowded on the darkened sidewalks of downtown Los Angeles, setting up makeshift tents amid the smell of garbage and cracked asphalt. Many of them once had jobs, paid taxes, raised children, and believed in an America where everyone had the opportunity to rise. And then, a crisis occurred. Job loss, illness, divorce, skyrocketing housing prices, causing them to spiral downwards, until there was no way back. Each person who comes to Skid Row carries their own story. But there is one thing in common. They all no longer have a roof over their heads, and have to live in the heart of the city, dragging along days of despair that seem never-ending. Skid Row is not just a place where the poor gather. It is the endpoint of a system that is gradually falling apart. In the darkness here, there is no protection. No one dares to step into Skid Row after 8 p.m. Not even the police force equipped with the most advanced weapons. Why? You ask. Because this area has gone out of control. No laws, no fences, no security. Here, there is no light or dreams, only nightmares surrounding the lives of those hunched over, wandering on the freezing sidewalks. You might think that in a chaotic and dark place like Skid Row, at least the cost of living would be lower. But no. The harsh truth is that rental prices in the area around Skid Row still range from $800 to over $300 per month. Prices equivalent to those in peaceful suburban neighborhoods. It's a cruel paradox. You live in a hellish scene, but still have to pay the price of paradise. And if you can no longer afford it, you won't receive a warning or time to prepare. You will simply be pushed to the curb, becoming one of the thousands of zombie-like residents wandering out there. Many people turn to shelters in the hope of clinging to a bit of final safety. But the system is so overwhelmed that sometimes it feels like a trap. Some people had to leave just 1 or 2 hours after stepping in. They say that living in there is even more dangerous than sleeping on the sidewalk. We often think of shelter as temporary, but in Skid Row, even temporary becomes a luxury. Because when every model of assistance is distorted by overload, lack of coordination, and pervasive fear, people are left with only one choice to fend for themselves in the darkness. Not because they chose it, but because there were no other options. Skid Row is not just a black spot on the map of Los Angeles. It is a shattered mirror reflecting a greater truth that when a society no longer cares for its most vulnerable, collapse does not begin with an explosion, but with silence. If Skid Row is the present of Los Angeles, could it become the future of any other city? If we continue to turn a blind eye, If Skid Row is the land where the American dream shatters in silence, then Las Vegas is where those dreams are placed on the betting table. The City of Lights, where over 30 million people flock each year to try their luck, enjoy freedom, and deceive reality, is hiding a truth that would shock anyone with a heart. Right beneath the luxurious casinos are tunnels where people live, as if they were never meant to exist on this earth. Las Vegas has long been seen as a symbol of an unlimited lifestyle, where the lights never go out, the music never stops, and everything can be bought if you can afford the price. But just step off the main boulevard, head behind the Twin Tower hotels and the flashing signs, and a cold, dark side emerges. On the sidewalks around the Strip, hundreds of makeshift tents are crammed together like the dissonant notes of an unbearable symphony. According to data from Clark County, nearly 8,000 homeless people are living here, and more than 4,200 have no shelter at all. But the scariest part is not on the surface. Beneath Las Vegas lies a network of underground sewers stretching hundreds of miles, originally built for stormwater drainage, but now the home of about 1,500 people living in the dark. There, they build beds from broken pallets, make bookshelves from plastic bags, and call the damp sewers home. No light, no air, and even less safety. Just a heavy rain, and the water floods the system, and everything is swept away from blankets, memories, to even people. There are countless cases of people disappearing forever after just one night of flash floods. Not only underground, but there are even harsher games happening right on the surface. After the pandemic, rental prices in Las Vegas skyrocketed, while the thousands of people lost their jobs. In Spring Valley, incidents related to the nightlife industry increased by 267% in just 1 year. On Tropicana Avenue, there are women who were once casino employees, housekeepers, and nail technicians, now standing silently on the sidewalk, not to solicit, but to survive. Those who once helped build Las Vegas are now pushed to the sidelines, like queen cards discarded from the game. No longer chosen, just waiting to be swept away. Las Vegas once prided itself on being a place where everyone had a chance. But opportunities are never fair, while some sit at the gaming table with bags full of chips. Others bet their entire lives just to live one more night. Will those left behind ever be called back? Not to play another round, but to be treated like human beings. Philadelphia was once the birthplace of America, where the first declarations rang out, where concepts like freedom, justice, and hope were penned down. But just a few miles north of the center, you will step into a place where those promises seem to have never existed: Kensington. If Skid Row is the silence of the system, if Las Vegas is a gamble with life, then Kensington is the stark exposure of a fractured America, where wounds can no longer be hidden under the spotlight. On Kensington Avenue, a road once dubbed the backbone of the Northeast industry, now, it's a place where people must tread carefully to avoid stepping on others lying unconscious on the sidewalk. In broad daylight, one can still see figures staggering as if time has come to a standstill. Above, the train runs through the rusted iron frames like a post-apocalyptic painting suspended in a still living city. Underground, people surviving unconsciously, amidst garbage, tents, and the indifferent gazes of those who have grown accustomed to the scene. According to data from the 2023 Homelessness report of the city of Philadelphia, the entire city recorded more than 4,225 homeless individuals living in unstable conditions, with the Kensington area and its surrounding neighborhoods accounting for over 25%, equivalent to approximately 1,200 to 1,300 people living without fixed shelter, including tents, abandoned warehouses, or even on the sidewalks. Among them, a large portion are elderly, former industrial workers, and those who lived stably before 2020. Some say Kensington is Philadelphia's problem, but in reality, Kensington is a mirror reflecting something bigger. What happens when indifference lasts long enough to turn a vibrant neighborhood into a valley of despair? Las Vegas can leave you stunned by its contrasts. Skid Row can leave you silent with sympathy. But Kensington makes you wonder, how could America let this happen? Right where it all began. If a society allows places like Kensington to sink into darkness, then is the light we manage to hold on to truly enough to guide future generations? If there was ever a neighborhood in Chicago that was the pride of the black working class, where families bought their first homes, where children rode their bikes to school under the cool shade of trees, it was Englewood. But today, Englewood is no longer a place to start. It has become a place where people are just trying to escape, or just trying to survive another day. You can walk through 10 blocks without seeing any stores still open. More than 70% of small businesses in Englewood have permanently closed since 2020, and many shops that were once community staples, pharmacies, grocery stores, barbershops, are now just broken windows and brick walls with faded for sale signs. There are blocks of houses abandoned for so long that weeds have grown through the sidewalks, as if nature is trying to cover up what humans no longer care about. According to statistics from the city of Chicago, the crime rate in Englewood is among the highest in the state of Illinois, with the number of shootings being 5 times the average. But the fear here does not come from the sound of gunfire, but from the silence of the system, of the authorities, and even of those who have left this place without looking back. Englewood used to be a cultural and community hub, a place for fairs, parades, and evening classes for children. But when the budget was cut, when schools were closed, when police forces were redirected to more prioritized central areas, an entire community was suffocated in the city's trough. In just 10 years, more than 10,000 residents have left Englewood, leaving behind a void, not just in space, but a rupture in the community's lifeblood. Englewood is not a war-torn land, but the consequences it bears, the quiet withdrawal of the system, the breakdown of community structures, and the prolonged neglect, leave a context no different from a post-war era. Can we continue to call it America if places like Englewood are gradually erased from collective memory, as if they never existed? San Francisco, the city of Silicon Valley, of red bridges spanning the ocean, of sun-drenched hills and pioneering spirit, but right in the heart of what is considered the global center of innovation, there exists a street where all light seems to be bent. Tenderloin, just a few steps from Union Square. Just turn a corner, and you seem to step into a completely different reality, a cramped space, mixed with the stench of rotten food and smoke, where the pavement is covered with tense and silent shadows. Tenderloin doesn't need a gateway, because the whole city has learned to avoid it. According to the annual report of the city of San Francisco, Tenderloin has the highest density of homeless people in the entire city, with over 3,500 individuals lacking stable shelter. Just within a few neighborhoods, in this area, all public services, from shelters, kitchens, medical centers to restrooms, are operating under severe overload. But the most paradoxical thing is that Tenderloin is right next to the financial district, where the price of a cup of coffee can equal a whole day's meal for a homeless person. While on one side the glass buildings reflect the sunset, on the other side are bodies curled up on the cold concrete, amidst the sound of screeching cars and alarm sirens echoing through the night. The authorities once announced they would clean up Tenderloin by the end of 2022. But to this day, all redevelopment programs are mired in controversy between individual freedom and the need for collective welfare. And the residents here, both homeowners and the homeless, continue to live in an endless social experiment. Is it possible for such an intelligent society to still accept people living huddled between two worlds, right beneath the lights they can never reach? There was a time when the Bronx symbolized the resilient spirit of New York's working class, where immigrant families built the American dream from small apartments, where music, sports, and community together created a unique identity unmatched anywhere else. But that image of dinners on the balcony, the sound of children playing ball on the rooftops, now only echoes in the memories of a generation. Nowadays, many parts of the Bronx, especially the South Bronx, have become service deserts, where the welfare system has retreated, opportunities have vanished, and life is just a prolonged journey of weariness. According to 2023 data from New York City, the Bronx has the highest homelessness rate in the entire city, with nearly 25% of the population living below the poverty line and about 5,000 people in unstable housing situations, from overcrowded shelters to apartment building hallways. But not everyone lives on the streets. Many elderly people and low-income families are still holding on in the severely deteriorated public housing. Elevators not working, heating systems broken, garbage piling up, and no one knows which number to call for help anymore. On many streets in the Bronx, you can see police only standing at the end of the road, not venturing deep into the dead-end blocks, where streetlights have long been broken and the nearest medical station is miles away. Even delivery workers only drop off packages in the morning and never stay longer than 15 minutes. A quiet withdrawal of the system, of trust, and of even minimal care. Can we continue to call ourselves a civilized society if, less than 15 miles from the Statue of Liberty, there are still elderly people living in fear, and every night going to sleep in a building without knowing if the elevator will work tomorrow, or if anyone still remembers them if in New York, people fear the darkness. In Phoenix, people fear the light. Not the light of opportunity or hope, but the stifling, relentless heat, as if it scorches away any possibility of compassion. And in the heart of downtown Phoenix, the capital of a sun-drenched state, there exists an area that the locals simply call the Zone. No road signs, no administrative boundaries. But anyone living in Phoenix knows well, this is the largest homeless area in Arizona, where thousands of people gather in tents in the streets, surrounded by empty parking lots, abandoned warehouses, and silent public buildings. According to the latest statistics, more than 900 tents have been set up in this area, with over 1,200 homeless people without official shelter, scattered in harsh conditions in the summer. The road surface temperature here can exceed 130 degrees Celsius, about 55 degrees Celsius, enough to melt asphalt and cause burns within minutes of contact. The city authorities once ordered the clearing of this tent camp in 2023 after the court declared the living conditions here to be inhumane. But removal does not mean solution. Hundreds of people were forced to move, not to the shelter because it was full, but to other neighborhoods, creating new mini-zones scattered throughout Phoenix. The zone is not the fault of any one person, but it is the result of procrastination, division, and the biased view that homelessness is their problem, not ours. Can we truly say that we are living in a progressive society if there are people dying under the sun simply because there is no longer enough space for them to exist in the shades? Seattle, the city of technological intellect, of artisanal coffee, of indie music on rainy days, once believed to be a place where all change could begin. But amidst grand ideas and shattered realities, there is a place called Capitol Hill, once seen as a symbol of resistance, now only remnants of prolonged neglect and indiscernible traces. In the summer of 2020, amidst the wave of protests sweeping across the United States, an area in Capitol Hill was declared Chaz Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, a self-governing zone without police, barriers, or control. In just a few short weeks, people set up tents, painted murals, and organized community forums, as if they were creating a different version of the American dream where justice and freedom could coexist. But then, everything quickly fell into chaos. After several serious incidents and 2 unexplained deaths, the city disbanded the area in July of that year. However, the dissolution did not bring revival. It only left a void where trust was shattered, and residents were caught between 2 lines: unfulfilled hope and unchanged reality. 3 years later, Capitol Hill still hasn't truly returned. The stores have boarded up their windows as if preparing for an endless storm. The streets that were once bustling with pedestrians are now sparsely populated, with people quietly avoiding each other's gaze. The number of homeless people in the area has increased significantly, according to the 2025 Seattle City report, with over 14,000 people lacking stable housing citywide, and Capitol Hill being one of the hotspots. Can freedom truly blossom if we abandon the lands that once bravely asked questions, then retreated and left behind those who have yet to receive answers? Just less than an hour's drive from downtown San Francisco, there is a place where GPS still works, but the police no longer dare to stop after dark. A place where neighbors no longer call 911 because they know no one will come. A place where all the shops have 2 layers of steel shutters, and cameras are only used to record what no one can stop. That is Deep East Oakland, a place that even within the city is quietly referred to as the no-response zone. Deep East Oakland hasn't always been like this. In the 1960s, 1970s, this was the heart of the civil rights movement, the birthplace of the Black Panther Party, where the working-class community united to build neighborhoods, open stores, and organize festivals. But many decades later, through the waves of industrialization breaking down, budget cuts, regional discrimination, and uneven planning, that land gradually became an unnamed sinkhole, where the presence of the state was almost zero, except for instances of writing reports or bringing handcuffs. According to data from the Oakland Police Department, Deep East is where more than 35% of the city's crimes occur, yet it has the lowest intervention and resolution rates. The residents report crimes, but without hope. The police arrived, but did not get out of the car. Superficial patrols. The investigations are quickly closed, a deadlock that no one dares to call a system anymore. Deep East Oakland is not off the map, but it is being overlooked. And the final question, perhaps, is not why this land has become dangerous, but rather, can it be called America for all, if there are neighborhoods where even the police choose to turn back? Once dubbed the City of Roses, Portland is not only famous for its green spaces, bicycles, and friendliness, but also as a symbol of sustainable living, street art, and a united community. But now, a part of that city has been submerged in a completely different reality, a reality of tents, abandoned streets, graffiti-covered signs, and the lost gazes of those left behind. Data from the city of Portland shows nearly 6,300 homeless people were recorded in 2024, an increase of over 30% in just 3 years. Among them, nearly 48% have no shelter, sleeping on the streets, in the woods, or by the riverside. The number of 911 calls related to uncontrolled behavior increased by nearly 65% from 2021 to 2023. Portland hasn't lost its beauty. The cherry trees still bloom in March. The indie cafes still play soft vinyl music. But alongside that is another world, desolate, silent, and full of signs of distress that no one has time to hear. Can a city truly heal if it cannot take care of those who once believed it was their final refuge? If you have ever lived in Portland and witnessed this change, please leave a comment. Your story can help others understand that what is happening is not the new normal, but a warning that has gone unheard. We just passed through places where America seems no longer to be itself. The forbidden zones, where light cannot reach, and people are forced to live as if they never existed. But the scariest thing is not the darkness, but the silence. The chilling familiarity of a society that is gradually abandoning itself. If you think this video needs to be spread, please like, share, and subscribe to help us bring real stories to more people. Not to incite outrage, but to awaken what this society needs more than ever: understanding, awareness, and humane action. This video is made for educational purposes, social analysis, and sharing community perspectives. All data and situations are compiled from press sources, government reports, social media, public forums, and information from eyewitnesses at the scene. We do not assign blame to any individual or organization, do not promote extremist behavior, and do not draw political conclusions. Instead, we hope to open honest dialogues so that each of us not only watches the video, but also reflects on our own city, our own community, and our own role in this story. Role in this story. Role in this story. Role in this